Imagine a vehicle that refuses to obey the rules of terrain. One moment it rumbles down the highway like a heavy-duty truck. The next, it glides effortlessly across the water like a speedboat. It's not science fiction. It's the latest innovation from Maxwell Chikumbutso, a man who has redefined what's possible in mobility. This is From Land to Water, Maxwell Chikumbutso's revolutionary boat truck. But before you think of amphibious vehicles you've seen before, forget everything you know. This isn't a simple amphibian conversion or a novelty prototype. Every curve, every system, every mechanism was engineered from the ground up to dominate two environments simultaneously. The truck is massive, built for heavy loads, yet its hull is meticulously designed to generate lift and stability on water. Underneath, retractable propulsion systems allow it to switch seamlessly from tires to hydrojets. And it doesn't just float, it accelerates, maneuvers, and responds like a purpose-built vessel. What Maxwell achieved here isn't merely a hybrid vehicle. It's an entirely new class of transport. Now, imagine the implications. Flood-prone regions gain access to high-capacity land vehicles that double as boats. Remote construction sites become accessible without building bridges. Emergency rescue teams can reach impossible terrains in record time. And yet, the genius lies in how effortlessly it transitions between environments. The driver presses a single control, and hydraulics, energy systems, and propulsion mechanisms synchronize instantly. Tires retract slightly. Hydrojets engage. The massive truck transforms into a fully functional boat in seconds. It's a dance of engineering precision. And Maxwell didn't stop there. Safety systems are integrated into both modes of travel. Gyroscopic stabilizers counteract rolling waves. Tire suspension adapts for water impact and land shock absorption. Navigation systems automatically recalibrate when transitioning between mediums. Even energy consumption is optimized for both land and water performance, using hybrid battery and kinetic recovery systems. This isn't just innovation for the sake of spectacle. Every component serves a purpose. Every feature solves a problem that conventional vehicles cannot. And the result? A single machine that could redefine logistics, disaster response, and extreme mobility worldwide. Yet, as revolutionary as it is, Maxwell's design philosophy is subtle. It doesn't scream, "Look at me." It doesn't rely on gimmicks or flashy aesthetics. Instead, it exudes quiet authority, power derived from precision, intelligence, and unmatched versatility. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. This vehicle is not just a proof of concept. It's operational, tested on land, tested on water, and proven to handle both with unmatched reliability. And when Maxwell first unveiled it, reactions were a mixture of awe, disbelief, and curiosity. Competitors questioned feasibility. Engineers marveled at the integration. And industry analysts began reconsidering what defines heavy-duty transport. Because a machine capable of hauling cargo, crossing rivers, and transitioning seamlessly between two extremes isn't just a vehicle. It's a statement. It's a challenge to conventional design paradigms. It's a glimpse into the future of adaptive mobility. And Maxwell is just getting started. Even at this stage, he's already conceptualizing improvements, modular attachments, enhanced load capacity, and smarter energy management systems. Each iteration brings the boat truck closer to something almost science-fictional. And the most incredible part? The potential applications stretch far beyond industrial transport. Imagine luxury amphibious travel. Imagine emergency response vehicles that can operate in cities during floods. Imagine exploration vehicles for regions previously unreachable by conventional trucks or boats. Every possibility Maxwell imagined now exists on the edge of reality. This isn't just a truck. This isn't just a boat. The real test came when Maxwell took the boat truck beyond controlled environments. A river crossing in a flood-prone region. A highway stretch with uneven terrain. No support vehicles trailing behind. No hidden infrastructure. Just the truck, the water, and Maxwell's engineering. Observers watched as the massive vehicle approached the waterline. Hydraulics engaged. Tires partially retracted. Hydrojets powered up. The truck transitioned smoothly, almost imperceptibly. Ripples formed around its hull as it gained momentum. Inside, AI-assisted navigation continuously adjusted balance, throttle, and steering. The massive cargo bed remained stable, despite waves hitting at odd angles. Journalists captured footage. Engineers took notes. Investors whispered. Competitors scrambled to analyze what they were seeing. The truck's energy systems, a hybrid of regenerative kinetic and battery management, maintained stability and power throughout. No external charging. No fuel resupply. It simply adapted, absorbing environmental energy while powering its dual-mode systems. As it reached the opposite riverbank, the hydraulics reversed, tires engaged, and in a matter of seconds, it was back on land, fully operational and carrying its cargo load without issue. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in stunned silence. Because what Maxwell had done wasn't just engineering excellence. It was a paradigm shift. Traditional logistics relied on rigid infrastructures, bridges, ferries, or specialized amphibious vehicles. Maxwell had removed those constraints entirely, and the implications extended far beyond flood zones or river crossings. Disaster response teams could now reach isolated communities faster. Construction companies could transport materials across challenging terrain without waiting for infrastructure projects. Military and humanitarian logistics could deploy in areas previously considered inaccessible. But Maxwell didn't stop at utility. He envisioned luxury and adventure applications too. Tourism in remote archipelagos. Exploration in vast wetlands. Even high-end amphibious travel experiences for those seeking something no conventional vehicle could offer. And yet, despite all the power, versatility, and attention, Maxwell kept one secret. This was only the beginning. The boat truck's current iteration was a test bed for future technologies. Modular energy units, AI predictive navigation, enhanced load capacity, and even self-healing hull systems were already in development. Every journey generated data. Every crossing taught the system something new. By the time mass adoption became possible, Maxwell's design would have iteratively improved beyond what anyone could imagine. And here's the most profound realization. This vehicle didn't just move from land to water. It moved mobility itself into a new dimension. It challenged the very definition of terrain, infrastructure, and possibility. And as Maxwell quietly observed the vehicle returning to dry land, a thought lingered. The world wasn't ready for this. Not yet. But soon it would have no choice. Because once innovation like this exists, the ripple cannot be contained. And the era of dual-terrain, self-adapting vehicles had officially begun. As word of Maxwell's boat truck spread, reactions began cascading across the globe. Automotive giants scrambled to assess whether this was a novelty or a fundamental threat to existing design paradigms. Heavy-duty truck manufacturers studied footage obsessively, questioning if they could ever match dual-terrain performance. Luxury vehicle brands saw potential in a new market segment, high-end amphibious vehicles for adventure and exploration. Even energy analysts began recalculating the implications of integrated regenerative systems capable of powering dual-mode propulsion. Meanwhile, disaster response organizations took note. Flood-prone regions, coastal communities, and remote construction sites suddenly had access to a vehicle capable of bypassing traditional infrastructure bottlenecks. The potential savings in time, cost, and human risk were staggering. Governments quietly contacted Maxwell's team for technical consultations, while investors debated the financial implications of scaling production. Social media buzzed with clips of the vehicle gliding from asphalt into open water. Speculation ran wild. Could this technology be adapted for public transport? Cargo logistics? Military applications? The public fascination grew exponentially, not just because it was a novelty, but because it represented a glimpse of a future where vehicles were no longer confined to one environment. And behind all this attention, Maxwell remained strategic. Production remained limited. Early units were allocated to testing partners, government agencies, and elite collectors. Each deployment was carefully documented, feeding data back into refinement cycles. The vehicle evolved silently with each journey, its AI learning patterns, its energy systems optimizing efficiency, its hydraulics adapting for smoother transitions. Competitors attempted copycat designs, but without Maxwell's proprietary integration of energy, hydraulics, and AI, none achieved seamless dual-mode performance. Even skeptics had to admit, this wasn't a gimmick. This was engineering mastery. And the longer the boat truck operated, the clearer it became that Maxwell wasn't simply innovating for novelty. He was redefining what mobility could mean. Not just in Africa, not just for logistics or luxury, but globally, a vehicle capable of transforming commerce, emergency response, exploration, and everyday travel. Communities previously isolated by rivers or swamps were suddenly accessible. Supply chains became more resilient. Adventure tourism gained entirely new possibilities. And at the heart of it all was one principle: adaptability. Because the world's terrain is unpredictable, the world's challenges are evolving, and the vehicles we rely on must evolve with them. Maxwell's boat truck wasn't just a response to the environment. It was a statement. The future of mobility is fluid, flexible, and fearless. And as the sun set on the final demonstration day, the vehicle rested on dry land once again. Silent, sleek, powerful, ready to push the boundaries of what people thought was possible. But this was only the beginning. Because once one innovation proves that terrain is no longer a limitation, the race to expand, improve, and deploy begins. And Maxwell's revolutionary vehicle had already set the bar. The world had seen a glimpse of the future, and it could never go back. As the world absorbed the reality of Maxwell's boat truck, whispers turned into strategic planning sessions across industries. Automakers began rethinking design philosophies. Could trucks be engineered from the ground up to operate in multiple environments, not just land? Could energy systems be fully integrated to allow vehicles to function independently of traditional infrastructure? Meanwhile, logistics companies ran simulations. Supply chains could be revolutionized if vehicles no longer depended on bridges, ferries, or fixed transport routes. Remote regions, previously unreachable during floods or natural disasters, suddenly became accessible. Emergency response units began contacting Maxwell's team for pilot programs. Governments discreetly evaluated regulatory frameworks, wondering how to classify these hybrid machines. Insurance companies debated new risk metrics. Fleet operators imagined entire operations running without conventional infrastructure constraints. But beyond practical applications, the cultural impact began to take hold. Videos of the boat truck dominating both road and river went viral. Public fascination was palpable. Discussions erupted online about the future of vehicles, no longer confined to one medium, one purpose, or one terrain. Tech influencers speculated on the next iteration. Could Maxwell adapt the same principles to smaller vehicles? Trucks capable of crossing rivers without losing cargo stability. Luxury amphibious SUVs for adventurous buyers? Autonomous rescue vehicles? And inside Maxwell's design labs, the real work never stopped. Engineers refined energy efficiency. Hydraulics were recalibrated. AI algorithms were updated to predict terrain and water conditions even faster. Modular designs were tested for adaptability across vehicle classes. Every field test generated real-time data, feeding an iterative development cycle that ensured each subsequent model would be smarter, faster, and more resilient than the last. The narrative had shifted. What began as an elite engineering showcase was now poised to redefine mobility at a global scale. And yet, Maxwell remained patient. The world wasn't ready for mass deployment, but the seeds had been planted. Early adopters, strategic partners, and select governments were quietly building the foundation for the next phase of mobility. Because Maxwell's vision was never about instant adoption. It was about proving a concept, refining it, and preparing the world for a transformation so subtle yet profound that when it arrived, no one could ignore it. And as night fell over the demonstration site, the boat truck sat silently by the water, its dual-mode systems powered down but ready. A silent promise. A testament to what's possible when innovation refuses to be confined. The journey from land to water had only just begun. And soon, the world would discover that Maxwell's revolutionary boat truck was more than a vehicle. It was the blueprint for a new era of mobility. And as whispers turned into conversations in boardrooms, design labs, and government offices worldwide, the true scale of Maxwell's innovation began to surface. Global industries began asking difficult questions. If one vehicle could seamlessly operate on land and water, what else was possible? Could shipping fleets integrate amphibious designs to bypass bottlenecks? Could emergency relief vehicles reach flood-stricken regions without waiting for bridges or ferries? Could urban planners redesign cities with mobility no longer constrained by terrain? Meanwhile, competitors rushed to analyze footage, schematics, and patents. But Maxwell had anticipated this. His systems weren't just advanced, they were proprietary, intricately integrated, and nearly impossible to replicate without foundational knowledge. And with each public demonstration, his team gathered data, real-world performance metrics, hydrodynamics efficiency, energy consumption rates, AI predictive navigation accuracy. Each test refined the system further, making it smarter, faster, and more resilient. And then came the first international test. A convoy of boat trucks transported supplies across a flood-affected region in Southeast Asia. No infrastructure delays. No fuel dependency. No interruptions. Local authorities were astonished. International media captured every transition from land to water. This was no longer a prototype. This was a game-changing demonstration. Orders and inquiries began arriving from governments, logistics companies, and private investors. But Maxwell remained cautious. Scaling too fast could expose weaknesses, invite regulatory hurdles, and compromise safety. Instead, each deployment became part of a controlled expansion strategy. Gather data, refine systems, perfect integration. And behind the scenes, a larger vision was unfolding. Maxwell envisioned a network of amphibious vehicles operating in tandem, land convoys capable of crossing rivers, lakes, and coastal areas without delays. A fleet that could respond instantly to emergencies, deliver essential supplies, or explore regions previously inaccessible. He imagined self-sustaining energy systems allowing continuous operation for days without recharging. And as these ideas took shape, engineers worked on next-generation prototypes, lighter, faster, and smarter. Some designs included modular cargo bays, autonomous AI navigation, and advanced stabilization for rough waters. It wasn't just a truck anymore. It was the beginning of a mobility revolution. The kind that redefined transportation, logistics, emergency response, and even urban planning. And yet, despite all this attention and progress, Maxwell maintained secrecy around certain proprietary systems. Only those directly involved understood the full capability of the technology. This created intrigue, speculation, and anticipation worldwide. And as the original boat truck rested quietly in its testing facility, fully operational, fully autonomous in its intelligence and ready for deployment, one truth became undeniable. The world had only just begun to grasp the potential. The line between land and water had been erased. The limits of mobility were being rewritten. And Maxwell Chikumbutso's revolutionary boat truck had become the spark igniting a new era. And now, the story reaches its culmination. Maxwell Chikumbutso's boat truck is no longer just an engineering marvel or a prototype whispered about in exclusive circles. It is a statement, a tangible glimpse into the future of mobility. A vehicle that can traverse land and water seamlessly, powered by proprietary energy systems and guided by intelligent AI, challenges everything we once believed about transportation. It demonstrates that innovation is not limited to one terrain, one industry, or one imagination. The world has seen the demonstration, witnessed the transitions, and understood the possibilities. Logistics, disaster response, exploration, and luxury travel all can be reimagined. Competitors, governments, and industries may scramble to adapt, but Maxwell's vision has already set the blueprint. This is the era where mobility is no longer constrained. where energy autonomy, adaptability, and resilience define progress. And as the boat truck glides silently over water, then back onto land, carrying its cargo effortlessly, one undeniable truth emerges. The boundaries of possibility have shifted. The era of single-terrain vehicles is over. And Maxwell Chikumbutso's revolutionary boat truck has forever changed the way we think about transportation, innovation, and the future itself. The journey from land to water is complete, but the impact of this invention will ripple across the globe for decades to come. The future has arrived, and it moves without limits.